So this morning I want to go over some, you might say, secrets of certain events took place that led to the point, and it started from the very, very beginning to the point where we are today, where the sons of Japheth, run the world. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how this came about and what the end of it is going to be. And I'm going to start with the two seeds. After the fall of Adam and Chava, not Eve, he made a statement. Yehovah did. He said right here in verse 15, it says to set enmity. Now it doesn't say between you and the woman. It doesn't say that. It says I will set enmity, woman. It implies that he is the enemy of the woman. So, just so we get this straight, does it mean to set enmity between you and the woman? Yes, it does. Then it says a seed, a seed. So obviously it means talking about two seeds. So just as there is enmity between the serpent and the woman, there is going to be enmity between two seeds. Now, one of the seeds' head is going to be bruised. And one of the seeds, the heel is going to be bruised. But, okay. Now, so it's talking about two seeds. Now, we're going to go to Genesis 9. Now, one thing I want to show everybody here is that once Yehovah Elohim blessed Noah and his sons, so he blessed Japheth, Shem, and Ham, or Ham. Once that blessing was given, it cannot be, in other words, they cannot be altered. For instance, Ham received a blessing. So when Ham messed up and he saw his father's nakedness, and rather than go and cover it up and not mention it, he goes and tells his brothers. Well, Noah found out and he was going to curse somebody, but he couldn't curse his son Ham, the youngest son, because the blessing was already given right here. And that is the reason why he put that curse upon Canaan, the son of Ham. Okay? They even established, a covenant with Noah and his sons. Okay? So, now down here, Shem's blessing and Noah's death. So now Noah's handing out blessings himself before he dies. And he said, "Blessed be Yehovah, Elohim of Shem." He did not say of Japheth. He did not say of Ham. He said of Shem. But Shem was not the oldest. He was the second oldest. And those of you who read, who are studious in your scripture, you know the deal about how often the second son is chosen rather than the oldest son. It was with Ishmael and Yitzhak. It was with Esau and Jacob. And it happened over and over and over again. Now it says, and Canaan shall be Shem's servant. And it says, El, or Elohim, right here it says Elohim, shall, now King James says enlarged. Is it that what that means? Let's go look at it. Well, to make roomy, right? But it also means silly and deceive and enlarge. Deceive? That's a little strange, don't you think? Now, what does the name Japheth mean? Well, it turns out that Strong's Concordance got this one wrong. Okay? So we'll look up the name, and it says expansion, right? But that part's correct. But they missed it. They got nothing left. Okay? So what I'm going to do is go to this. That is where the word Japheth comes from. To be beautiful. To be fair. Beautiful, decorate, fairer. He was the fairer one of the brothers. And by implication, more beautiful, so to speak, than his brothers. A primitive root properly to be bright. That means, by implication, beautiful. That means to have light skin. So it's really hard to get around that. Now, make sure that, so if you go to AI, Google AI, it says, yes, you're exactly right. While the name's origins are complex, beautiful, or handsome are one of the primary historical translations for Japheth, often spelt Japheth or Japhet. Okay? Now, we're going to read some of this. Japheth, Hebrew Japhet. Okay, Japhet in Greek, or Eopheth in Greek, and Japheth in Latin. Eophet, I can't tell what his, okay. So, he is named as the ancestor of the people of the Aegean Sea. Okay. Anatolia. Now, folks, this is as early as the 3rd millennium BCE. But what happened was, what people don't realize is that the sons of Heth, around 1500 or so BCE, had taken most of Anatolia or Asia Minor, and later on the sons of Japheth drove them out, and the sons of Heth spread out along the Silk Road all the way into East Asia, Caucasus, Greece, and elsewhere in Eurasia. Okay? And obviously you can see the map of Eurasia. That's Europe, and so in medieval, early modern European tradition, he was considered to be the progenitor of the European peoples. You see? So it's undeniable who he is. It's undeniable. You can read down all the way through here if you want to. Now, Shem, Ham, and Japheth is not their birth order, just like it points out here. It says Moshe and Rachel also appear at the head of such list, despite explicit description of them being younger. Okay. So even in now, what I find interesting, and this is what trips up a lot of Europeans, they'll see pictures and they'll have Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And they'll have Shem as a lighter colored one. That is incorrect. That is wrong. We clearly are shown here that Japheth is the lighter skinned one. He is the beautiful one. Okay? Now, here's the thing. I want to read what happens to the king of Tyre. Now, the king of Tyre, he was a Canaanite. But read this, and you will notice that Antiochus IV did the same thing as the king of Tyre, and you can expect the same reaction from Yehovah, Elohim of Israel. Not only that, Caligula, a member of the Julio-Claudius dynasty, did the same thing as the king of Tyre. Not only that, the man at the Vatican himself does the same thing. Now, those of you who are familiar with Ezekiel 28, you know this is partly in reference to Satan. And you would be correct. The word of Yehovah, not the Lord, came again unto me, saying, Son of man, say unto the prince of Tyre, Adonai Yehovah says, because your heart is lifted up, and you have said, Hail, I sit in the seat of Elohim, in the middle of the sea, yet you are a man, and not Ale. Now here's the thing. You know who else sits in the middle of the sea? The man at the Vatican, the head of the entire European church. You are wiser than Daniel. There is no secret they can hide from you. And with your wisdom and your understanding, you have gotten you riches and gotten gold and silver into your treasures. Now, folks, I need y'all to understand that in Revelation 2 and Revelation 3, it gives warning to the ecclesia. It says, "He that has an ear, let him hear what the Ruach says to the ecclesia." Same thing here. It just doesn't say it, but still, the principle still applies. Yes, with your wisdom and your understanding, you have gotten you riches, and you've gotten you gold and silver and your treasures. Now, I want you to also remember in Revelation 3, concerning Laodicea, you say you are rich and increase with goods and have need of nothing. And you know what happens after that. In your great wisdom, okay, and therefore, for this reason, says Adonai Yehovah, you set your heart as the heart of Elohim himself. You make yourself equal to Elohim. For this reason, I will bring strangers upon you, the most terror-striking of the nations, and they shall draw their swords against the beauty of your wisdom, and they shall defile your brightness. They shall bring you down to the pit, and you shall die the deaths of them that are slain in the middle of the sea. Are you going to say in front of him that slays you that you are Elohim? Is that what you're going to do? I doubt it. But you are a man. You are not Elohim, and the hand of him will slay you. You shall die the death of the uncircumcised by the hand of strangers, for I have spoken it, says Adonai Yehovah. Moreover, the word of Yehovah came unto me, saying, Son of man, take up a lamentation upon the king of Tyre, and say unto him, Adonai Yehovah says, you seal up the sum full of wisdom and perfect in beauty. Uh-oh. And what was the reason, folks, that the Europeans colonized all these lands around the world, exploited their wealth, and exploited the peoples? The reason is because I'm pretty. I am fair-skinned. I have to have these darkies out there doing my work for me because I'm fair-skinned. I'm better than they are. That's the reason. You were in Eden, the garden of Elohim. Now he's speaking about Satan himself. So the king of Tyre had this mentality, I am pretty, and I am wise, and I'm going to get myself gold and silver and all these things, and I'm going to make myself equal. I'm going to sit in the seat of Elohim himself. This is what they said in their minds. And every precious stone was your covering. All of them, every one of them, all of them. The workmanship of your tambourine and your pipes were prepared in you the day you were created. Or it says bara, chosen. Create. Okay. Created. And see, now it says, you are the anointed cherub that covers. I set you so. And you were on the Kodesh mountain of Elohim. You have walked up and down the midst of the stones and the fires. You were perfect in all of your ways from the day you were created until iniquity was found in you. By the multitude of your merchandise they have filled you with violence, and you have sinned. Yes, indeed. This applies to everyone who does these things because they are pretty. I will cast you out as profane out of the mountain of Elohim, and I will destroy you, O covering cherub, from the midst of the stones of the fire. Your heart was lifted up because of your beauty. How many times does he have to say it before you guys get it? You have corrupted your wisdom by reason of your brightness. Here's that word again. I will cast you to the ground and lay you before kings, that they may look at you. You have defiled your sanctuaries by the multitude of your iniquities, by the iniquity of your traffic. Therefore I will bring forth a fire from the midst of you, and it shall devour you. I will bring you to the ashes upon the earth in the sight of all of them that look at you. And all they shall know you among the people shall be astonished at you, shall be a terror, and never shall be any more. Okay? Now, okay. But he does, because he calls himself Father. When Yehoshua said, call no man your father, because you have one in heaven. And they call him not only Father, they call him the Holy Father. Now, is that considered, or is it not? Is that considered that he is the great one or not? Of course it does. I mean, anybody with half sense knows that this is true. This is what... So what I will go to, what is it? I will show you Antiochus 4. 4 called himself a god. Watch. All right. Right. So Antiochus 4. And who was he? He was a Greek, son of Japheth, son of Japheth. Okay? The title he took, the title Epiphanes, Greek for God manifest. Now, we will move on to the next one. Was it Caligula the next one? Yes, Caligula was the next one, and then Constantine did it too. Caligula. Called himself a god. Emperor Caligula was the first Roman emperor to demand worship as a living god during his own lifetime. He frequently referred to himself as Jupiter or Deuspiter. and is recorded as having said, remember that I have the right to do anything to anybody. Okay? And he was the one who had the graven image of himself he ordered it to be put in every Jewish house of worship, including the temple in Jerusalem. Once again, a Roman, son of Japheth, son of Japheth. Do you see a pattern yet? Oh, no, you don't? All right, well, we're going to go to the next one. Constantine. Made a graven image of himself as a god. Okay, now, so they're contradicting themselves here, right? They say he didn't, and then they say he did. Remember who Constantine was. He was the introducer of Christianity in Rome, or he codified Christianity in Rome, and yet he continued the traditional Roman imperial practice of having himself depicted with divine and sun god attributes like Apollo, Apollyon, or Sol Invictus. His use of graven images and assimilation with the divine was a highly political tool to reinforce imperial power. It says rather than theological self-deification. No, it was self-deification. That's exactly what it was. This is where Christianity from 325 onward spawns from. They all learned their nonsense from Constantine. The column of Constantine, erected in AD 330 in his new capital city of Constantinople, it's 34 meters high and supported a massive statue of the emperor depicted as the sun god Apollo crowned with sun rays Helios. Now, the Colossus of Constantine, a massive 30-foot tall seated statue originally housed in Rome's Basilica Nova, the iconography heavily mirrored traditional statues of Jupiter or Zeus, portraying him as a godlike supreme figure. This is the father of modern-day Christianity. And just like him, the Christians today act like him. They think, the European Christians, they are of lighter skin, they are beautiful, they're more beautiful than any race in the world, in their own hearts and in their own minds. And facts are facts. But you just read what is going to happen to this satanic group of people. One seed versus the other. The seed of Japheth, have been persecuting the Hebrews for 2 millennia. Never quite figuring out how to exterminate the Hebrews. But that's going to come to an end. It's going to come to an end, folks. And the seed, the other seed, is going to overcome this Eurocentric Satan seed of Japheth. And that is why here that is why it says, while Yehovah enlarges Japheth, Japheth is going to end up living in the tents of Shem. Now, why would he be living in the tents of Shem if his tents are so enlarged himself? Well, it's because they're going to lose their own tents. They are going to become homeless. The Euro sons of Japheth are going to become homeless. And when I say Euro, yes, I mean all of Europe, Greece, Russia, all of the sons of Japheth. What small number they will have after the wrath of Yehovah is finished, it will be a very small number. And they will be homeless. As is written in Daniel 2. I believe it's Daniel 2. All right. Now we're talking about the legs of iron and his feet of part of iron and part of clay. This describes Europe to the T today. But it also describes the United States of America. You saw until a stone was cut without hands, which smote the image upon its feet that were of iron and clay, and broke them to pieces. Then was the iron, the clay, the brass, the silver, the gold broken to pieces together, and they became like the chaff of the summer threshing floors, and the wind carried them away, and no place was found for them. No place was found. They couldn't find a place. They were dispossessed of their land. Isaiah 60. The murmuring, roaring crowd of the sea, that's the Mediterranean Sea, will be not converted, overthrown. 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 When they come, when the forces of the Gentiles come to invade. So let's see here. See if I can find. So all up in here, everywhere where it's red, right? This is in the early days where the sons of Japheth lived. all around the coastlands of the sea. And they proceeded all the way to the coastlands of the sea, all the way to Tarshish, all the way to the Rock of Gibraltar. Okay? So, what I'm telling you, what I'm warning you, Euro Christians, this is your warning. It's going to happen to you. Why? Because you think you're the greatest. You think that you are the brightest, the most beautiful. You think you are the superior race.